Meunier, and I'm here today with Reina to talk about two of Unity's services. Just so you know, my job at Unity is product manager, and that means that I get feedback from users like you. I look at the competition and what's happening in the market in order to help orient the developments that we're doing according to needs that are real from our users and from our markets. Today, I'm here to talk about two services that help you create games faster. Collaborate for teamwork, and Cloud Build for workflow automation. Now, over the last year, we've reached out to many of our users to discuss exactly how we can improve the way they use Unity. Of course, we got feedback on various features and updates that they wanted. But many users have asked us to go beyond the actual content of the game and improve the overall workflow of game creation. They ask for easier and simpler ways to use Unity to allow them to focus on making the game. And for workflow or tools to improve how they work in teams with all members of the team. Our answer to those questions and those requests is the Collaborate tool. We launched Collaborate in beta at GDC in San Francisco last month. Basically what it is a set of features that help you share, save, and synchronize your project with your entire team. Now, the entire team is really important in our first iteration of Collab. The idea is to have all of the members of your team, whether they're devs, designers, engineers, artists, or testers, work together and be able to use the tools in Unity. It's pretty easy how it works. You have a project, you enable it for Collab, you connect to the cloud, you invite users to your project, and you make great games. The main part of my presentation will be to show you exactly how easy that workflow is by taking you through a very slow step-by-step integration of Collab. So when you enable Collab, you'll see there's a new button or new widget next to the Services button. This is actually the Collab button, but also there's a status icon, and will always keep you updated on where you are in your integration. As I show the slides in the demo, you'll see that this button actually gets updated throughout the process. If you have an existing project that you want to set up on Collab, you'll see that currently the status is actually a grayed out check mark. Click on that button, you have this window that opens and you can just start now. What that does is it sets up the project so that it's ready to be able to put on the cloud. Here's a quick video of it in action so you can see just how quick this happens. And that's it. Now your project is ready to go on the cloud. It's 2 clicks. That's it. As soon as I do this, it realizes that I want to update, or actually I have a project that's meant to be on the cloud, and since it's never been uploaded at any time, the icon changes to an up blue arrow to tell me that I have content that I need to submit. It also tells me the list of the changes I've done, and it suggests that I enter a comment. Clicking Publish Now will allow me to send it to the cloud. As it's doing that, again, if you click on the button, you'll see this, but the button updates and shows you that it's currently updating or doing something. And you'll see that this process actually is pretty fast, but at least you're getting a status of how the upload is going. Once it's done, it finalizes the update, and then you have a complete status. This actually tells you that you've uploaded the project, you've uploaded your current version, and that other people are ready to use it. Again, if we look at it in action, we click the button, We can see here, this is obviously going to vary on the network connection or things like that, but basically the status icon is turning, and if we click on it, we see the status. We can actually keep working while all of this is happening. When that's done, I now have my project on a safe place on the cloud. And if I were a solo developer, already that would be a great advantage, because I now can work anywhere from any computer with my project. But that's not, we're going to try in this demo to show you how you can add users to your team. So when you're in Unity and you're in the collab window, you have access to your project dashboard. So we'll click on that button. This takes you actually to a web page that shows the project status web page. Here we see the services, and we can see that collab has been enabled. We could possibly set up other services as well from this page. What we're going to do here is we're going to click on the Users tab, and we're going to add new user. All we have to do is enter the email, and the person is ready to work with us on the same project. Again, here it is in the editor, real time. Just to give you an idea, we'll click on the User tab. And there you go. So here I've added a new user called Andy. Once that's done, Andy's ready to go. What does this look like for him on his side? Well, now the launcher actually tells you that you have projects in the cloud, which means those are projects you've been invited to but haven't downloaded locally. Keep in mind that all of this UI that I'm showing you is still very much in progress, since Collaborate is in beta, and we are working at integrating all the services together within one common UI. So visually it may change, but the functionality is the same. So here Andy sees that he has 4 projects that he now has access to. He could go click on there and get those projects and download them locally to start working with us in the team. In order to add people, you can actually do it within the editor as well. The dashboard is like sometimes a quicker way, or if you don't want to start changing the editor UI or moving around in Windows, you can also go through the dashboard. The next part is now I added people to my project, I have people working on the project, and I'm here at Unite, so I don't have much time to update what's happening. So if I sync at this time to my project, I realize that some changes have been made. So you can see those changes that are gray above the blue line. At the same time, if I look at my collab button, I can see that now it's a downward arrow, orange. This means I have stuff that I could download. So there's things in the project that have changed, but I don't have locally at this time. It even tells me which revision or which commits I don't have. At this time, it's just one. In the video, you'll see we're doing the exact same thing, where there's a change that hasn't been done. There's a comment that tells us that if we sync to this, there's one asset that will be added if you click on the drop down there. And this project will be 1000% manlier. We click on it to update, it resyncs the projects, and it adds the principal asset here in our scene. Now, we've shared projects, we're working in teams. This is all really fun. This is cool if you're working with people that are either on different time frames than you are, or literally in different countries or different locations. As I mentioned, it's also good if you're working by yourself and moving around a lot, but it's also important to be able to share your builds. So sharing your project is sharing who's making the game with you. Sharing your builds is actually allowing people to see the final product. In order to do that, we're going to use another one of the services called Cloud Build, and this is how you get it up and running. So on one of the commits, I want to have a build related to that. I'm happy with the version. All of my team has done their work. We want someone to have a look at it. All I have to do is click on Configure Now. And it'll take me to the build page on the dashboard. I choose a platform. In this case, It's WebGL. Once I choose the platform, I get the platform settings. In this case, I'll just use the default ones, so I can just click Next Build. And I get to the Cloud Build page. This is basically my status of my build. I can update, I can get updates there and just see where it's at. If there's errors, I'll be able to see, to get the logs. So once I'm done, now I can just wait for my build. I can continue working in my editor. This is all being done in the cloud. And here's the video to show you. Again, we click on Configure Now. It loads your project on your project dashboard. Here we're going to choose the platform. We're going to take the default settings. Now it's connecting to build. Because it's Collaborate and Build are seamlessly integrated, it knows all about my project, has my project settings, everything. So it's ready to start a build right away. And that's it. I'm done. So once I've started a build, and Reina will talk to you more about it, I'll get notification when it's available. In this case, this is actually my email. I got an email saying this build was ready. If I click on the project settings, I go back to the same page I had before. If you can see, before it was red, saying I could cancel it because that meant it was ongoing. Now it's available. And we do have more options now. So we do have a summary, logs, and we have a share button. I'll show you how it goes in the video, and then we'll see what the share button is all about. So here we have two builds. You can see one is WebGL, the other one is Android. I click on Share, and then it pops the sharing window. In there, there's a link, plus a QR code. So you give access to people that have the rights to read your project, but you can just send them, once you've added them to your project rights, they can basically get that link and have access to your build. Or if you're doing a mobile build, they can actually just read the QR code and it'll start downloading automatically to their platform. So if you have testers or family and friends you want to share your build with and start getting feedback, it's super easy. Send your build on the cloud, gather the feedback, gather the URL for the sharing, and just send it to them. So that's it. Collaborate basically helps you create your content faster by allowing you to offload some of the stuff on the cloud, but also getting more people to participate in your project. And as I mentioned, it's really important to know that Collab is intended for all types of users on your team. Engineers, QA, testers, artists, designers. Anybody should be able to use Collab at this point. So our version is really simple and is really aimed at non-technical users. This means that the design has been super simplified. At this point, for example, you can't make branches within the UI here. Commits are what I call all or nothing. So you can only get all the changes or push all the changes. You can't cherry pick which of the changes you made you want to commit. And that's all in order to simplify it for less technical users. And you always have to do a full sync. So whenever you have content that you want to update, if there's new stuff on the server, we force you to get the new stuff before you can upload your new content. And the idea is that we want to keep it really simple. We talked to many people who had experience making games, and some of the less technical people just don't use source control because they find it very confusing. So version 1 is really meant for them to try it out. And at this point, we're really happy to say that a lot of our collaborators that have tried it are actually using it. We even have artistic directors that use it, and honestly, they never used source control before. So, and as I mentioned, the Collaborate is in beta, has been in beta for a month now. So you can go and subscribe at the address there, so unity3d.com/collaborate. Basically, you'll sign up on a waiting list, and we gradually add people in. Obviously, we're testing our stuff as well, so we want to make sure the servers are solid and everything's working well. So we add people as we go along. So subscribe to the waiting list, and we'll send you an email when a place is available. Now, I mentioned and I talked a bit about Cloud Build. I'd like you to welcome my colleague Reina, who will talk to you more about the Cloud Build service.
Hi, everyone. I'm here to talk to you a little bit more about Cloud Build. So as a lot of you are probably very familiar with, there's a lot of problems with creating your own builds today. You have to start and wait on your builds, you're testing your own builds. Probably a lot of you are making builds for another coworker. You're trying to send builds to testers, and all of that's really hard work. So we can handle all of that so your project can be better and you'll get it done sooner. So let us handle your build process and you can focus on making something awesome. Tiny Bop's Robot Factory, which was iPad's app of the year, actually was created using Cloud Build, and it said it really changed our workflow. Instead of waiting a couple of days or a week for a build, we can now check in continuously. This was actually mentioned in the keynote as well, but Cloud Build has saved over 600,000 hours for developers. So a lot of people are just taking all the time that they could have been spent, making builds and trying to distribute them and all of that stuff and putting it towards making a better product. So really quickly, let me just give you a kind of high-level overview of what Cloud Build is like. You tell us where source control is hosted, and we keep an eye on it. Every time you create a commit, we kick off a build. So when it's done, you get an email with the results and install links for the device that you're on, and it's optimized for the latest build that you have. So, for example, if you're creating builds for multiple projects, and you have iOS builds and Android builds and desktop builds and WebGL builds, we'll be able, if you open that up on your phone, you won't see all of the builds. You'll only see the ones that are specific for the device that you're on, so it's highly optimized. In terms of source control systems, we do work with most of the really big ones. So we work with Git, SVN, Mercurial, and Perforce, and obviously most recently Collaborate. Once you get the project set up, we get to work. You make a commit, we try to make a build. An email shows up with a summary of errors and warnings, so if the build is not complete, you do get a full error log. And it also includes links to install the project, so what I mentioned earlier. This is the core of the service, so it's super simple and it's practically invisible. But the Unity Cloud Build interface provides many, many other layers of value. I'm guessing a lot of you are building for multiple platforms, or at least building for multiple platforms within mobile itself. So what we support is simultaneous builds for mobile, desktop, and VR. You no longer need to maintain different machines for each platform that you're building for, or go back and forth. We can handle all of that for you. So you can develop for whatever platform that you're building for all at once. In terms of versions of Unity, we support all versions of Unity, but we're optimized for Unity 4.0 and up. So within 24 hours of a new release of Unity, whether that's a beta version or whatever it is, it's available on Unity Cloud Build. So not only that, but if you're building for mobile, we also support all versions of Xcode as well. So anytime there's a new Xcode release, within 24 hours, our whole system is updated with that. So you can always be building with not only the latest version of Unity, but the latest version of Xcode. One way that developers use this that's pretty interesting is recently, or last year when we launched Unity 5.0, a lot of people were moving from Unity 4.6 to 5.0, and they wanted to know what was going to break, what would change, all of that stuff. You can actually build your project. You can choose what version of Unity to build it in. So you can build it in Unity 5.0 and see kind of what goes wrong, because you get a full error log, which is really interesting. We also give you notifications, so for a complete build through multiple channels. We recently launched Slack integration, so you can always have the latest version of build there. And then we also have in-editor notifications, so you would be able to see it right in the editor itself. We also do Unity test tools, so we work really closely with Unity test tools, so you can download the reports directly from the dashboard, and you can write custom C# unit tests, so we can do that as well. We can completely customize this for your needs. If you are using anything like TestFlight or Hockey app, or you're using your own internal system to distribute your links, We can actually also help you with that. We generate publicly shareable links for any successful build. So this is a great way to share versions of your project with your friends, or your family, or your testers, or your publishers, if a lot of you are working with other publishing teams. And on our enterprise tier, we can customize Unity Cloud Build to automatically even push to something like Hockey App. So we would take the latest build and automatically push it there, so you don't need to manually do that. There's a lot of customizations that are available on Unity Cloud Build, and we get many, many questions from all of you on what we're able to do. On the enterprise tier, you have dedicated virtual machines just for your projects. So we can fully replicate your current build process through Unity Cloud Build, so you no longer have to maintain anything. You can build simultaneously. We can run all of your custom C# scripts and all of that through customizing each dedicated build agent however you want. So for more information, please visit these two websites. So the first one is the Cloud Build website, which is not in beta, by the way. It's a full launch product, so please go in and check it out. There is a free tier, so you can actually just go in and start building immediately. And Andreane actually talked about how simple that integration is. And then the bottom link is for Collaborate, so please check that one out as well. And that just came out of beta as well. Thanks, guys.
So we're ready to take questions if some of you have some right now.
Hi. So, okay. Well, really thank you for the lecture, but I was wondering about the branching that you said you're not going to support it. Like, is it on the roadmap, like somehow going to develop it later or not?
Yeah, so right now our focus is really on simplified UI. Honestly, giving you the same tools that you have in normal source control is super easy. Making that simple is a little bit more complicated. So we actually had some advanced options that we removed because they were really hard to understand. They're in the roadmap, but what we want to do is probably have two sets of types of users. So artistic users or less technical users, and then have some advanced options. We'll see how we do those. It may be just access through command line or real UI integration in the editor. That's what we're looking at right now. But yeah, definitely it's things we hear you loud and clear. We know that it's things you want, but we want to make sure, like, our focus right now is getting people that wouldn't use this type of tool to get it, to use it. And then adding the extra stuff, I think is going to be a little easier. So yes, it's definitely on our roadmap.
그 콜라보는 보니까 비개발자를 위한 툴 같은데 개발자 같은 경우는 보통 SVN이나 깃 같은 걸 사용하잖아요. 그래서 같이 사용해도 되는 건지 문제가 없는지 궁금합니다.
Right now, no, but it's part of the advanced roadmap discussions that we're having. We really want to have something that's simple, so we don't want the non-technical users to be able to screw up. But it's definitely something that we're already looking at. So at this point, you probably could, but you'd have to separate the project data and the actual code data. But the workflow, you'd be on your own for that. We don't integrate any of that at all.
예, 그 콜라보레이트 관련 질문입니다. 그 보통 유니티 개발할 때 버전 컨트롤 시스템 이용할 때 생기는 문제점 중에 프리팹이나 씬을 작업하고 업데이트를 받았을 때.
I'm sorry, we can't hear the translation. Okay, now we can hear.
Yeah.
계속 말해도 되나요?
Sorry.
처음부터 다시 해야 되나요?
네, 잠시만요.
It's okay now. We hear it.
예. 보통 그 유니티로 개발할 때 버전 컨트롤 시스템을 이용하면은 프리팹이나 씬 에셋을 보통 많이 불러오는데 이걸 업데이트를 받아올 때 생기는 문제점 중에 컨플릭트가 나는 경우가 있습니다. 데이터 축출이 나는 건데 이 경우 이런 문제점이 콜라보레이트에도 있는지 있다면은 그에 따른 대책이 있는지 그거를 알고 싶습니다.
It could become an issue. What we're trying to do with our current users is really recommend that they commit very regularly to avoid as many conflicts as they can. One of the advanced tools I was mentioning earlier was conflict resolution. So one of our solutions is to work on conflict resolution that's more visual for non-technical users. And we also are looking at better merge tools in order to resolve the conflicts. We have the advantage that we know what the file formats are, so we can do some things that are a little more intelligent than maybe external tools that are doing source control. So it's definitely things we are currently looking at. One of the things that's coming out as a next version is what we call soft lock. So when you're in your project browser or your inspector, you'll see a little dot that will tell you if somebody else is working on the file. So although we can't prevent you from having conflicts, we can already kind of warn you, hey, somebody else is working on the same asset, so maybe you should kind of talk to that person. So we're allowing you to see more of what's happening. So this isn't the perfect solution, but it's already something that could help you prevent problematic situations.
그리고 질문 하나 더 있습니다. 콜라보레이트 질문인데요. 마찬가지로 콜라보레이트 질문인데 협업으로 초대한 유저들에 대한 각각의 읽기 쓰기 권한을 다르게 줄 수 있는지 그거에 대해서 궁금합니다.
At this point, it's not necessarily just read and write, but in the screenshot in the video, if you saw, there's different types of users. So you can be just a user who does read and write. Right now, we don't have read-only access, but you can have admin access and things like that. So it is something we're looking at. For now, if you're invited to a project, you can always read and write on it. But it's definitely something eventually we'll give more options to.
감사합니다.
크게 말씀해 주세요.
빌드만큼 오래 걸리는 게 에셋 번들 굽는 게 되게 시간이 많이 걸리는데 이것도 그 클라우드 빌드를 통해서 지원 예정이 있는지 그게 궁금합니다.
Yeah, so we actually currently support asset bundles on the enterprise side. So if you have dedicated virtual machines with us, we can customize it to build your asset bundles. So we actually just recently launched that at GDC last year.
Do we have some issue tracking system, something like that, or some thing as marking as broken build, or some issues and marking as resolved? So, do you think that kind of features can be applied to Unity Cloud Build, or do you have any plan or currently a bit?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so right now we show you what isn't working in the build, and we also show you what changed from the previous build, so you'll know exactly what caused the problem. On the enterprise side of things, you can actually customize it a bit more, so you can customize the report to show you exactly what it is that you need to look at. But right now, you'll be able to see what is exactly broken. So you don't just see that it's a broken build, you'll be able to see that it's broken, what changed from the build before that, and then once it's changed, how it's successful.
Some kind of broken build, and they should be excluded, right? But isn't it possible to track some other issues in the features of the application itself?
So within the build log or within the actual build?
The successful builds.
Yeah, I'm not sure we understand the question, because we also have, as Reina mentioned, we have tests that you can run. So there's also, once the actual build process, if it fails, or if you want to run more things than just building, you can can actually complete it with tests, if that's what you're asking.
But the collaboration and the shared users, there's some collaborative users, and when users get the builds, they can test it and they can mark it on some issues, right?
Within our system. Yeah, we don't have that
Do you have any
capability.
plan?
Yeah, we do actually. So that's on our roadmap. We would be really interested in doing something like that that does have a feedback mechanism. So once you send it out to your QA or whatever, once they do see the errors that are in there, kind of have some feedback within Cloud Build itself. We haven't started building something like that out, but it is on our product roadmap.
Thank you.
저희 클라우드 빌드 아까 얘기 들어보면 엔터프라이즈 버전만 좀 기능이 지원이 되고 뭐 약간 베이직 버전 같은 경우는 기능이 이렇게 지원이 안 되는 것 같은데 엔터프라이즈 버전이 정확히 어떤 거죠? 뭐 유니티 프로를 구입하면 엔터프라이즈 버전을 쓸 수 있는 건지 아니면 제가 알기로 유니티 라이센스가 약간 엔터프라이즈 버전 골든 라이센스 분야에 있었던 시기인데 어떤 버전인지 좀.
Yeah, so there's a few versions of Unity Cloud Build today. So there's a free version, there's the pro version, which is, so the difference between each tier is the downtime between each build. So the time it takes between one build to end and your next build to start. And the other big kind of difference between each tier is how big your project is. So on the free tier, your active repo, so the one that we're actually pulling and building, has to be within 1 gig. On the pro tier that you mentioned, that has to be 2 gigs. And then on the studio tier, which is a tier above that, it's 5 gigs. And there's only a 5-minute downtime between builds there. But on the enterprise side, the functionalities that I'm talking about, 98% of them are actually available throughout the service. So it doesn't matter whether you're on free, pro, studio. Enterprise is if you have an extremely large project, because what we are able to do on the enterprise tier is get virtual machines that are dedicated for your project. So what we do is we cache the project. So we're only doing incremental builds. We're not pulling your whole repo each time, so the build times are significantly faster. And then on the other side, you would want the enterprise tier if you have a very, very complicated build process already and you want us to manage it. So, you know, if you're kind of doing some pre and post processing stuff, if you want us to customize the build and give you some bundle before that, before you actually create the whole build, and, you know, people kind of do all sorts of weird stuff with their current build process. If you want us to manage that for you, you should be on dedicated build agents. But most of the functionalities that I spoke about is available on our shared service today. You don't need to have dedicated build agents with us.
저희 그러면 그냥 베이직 버전에서는 이렇게 포스트 프로세스 빌드 같은 거는 사용을 할 수 있다는 건 아니다는 건지 그게 좀 궁금합니다.
No, those are for dedicated build agents. So pre and post processing scripts are on your dedicated build agent. We are making that available on the shared service though, and not too long. We just need to figure out how to do that.
네, 그 콜앱에 대해서 그 내용을 잘 봤는데요. 그 일반 개발자나 아티스트 입장에서는 그냥 소스 코드를 동시에 사용만 해도 문제될 게 없는데 관리자 입장에서 이제 봤을 때는 리스크 관리를 위해서 어떤 내용이 변경이 됐는지 확인 또한 되게 중요한데 그 히스토리 관리적인 측면에서 현재 신 관리가 되게 매우 힘든 점이 많습니다. 그런 부분들을 텍스트 모드로 변경을 해서 관리를 하더라도 수치나 이런 부분에 있어서 어떤 게 바뀌었는지 이번에 콜앱에서도 그 변경 사항에 대해서 확인하기가 좀 힘들 것 같은 부분이 있는데 그런 부분에 대해서 개선이나 이런 부분이 어떻게 있는가 그런 부분이 좀 궁금합니다.
So I have multiple kind of points of answers to your question. First of all, as a manager, you'll have everything accessible through the dashboard, through your project dashboard. So you'll be able to see, let's say, and happens to me often, you're in a meeting and you don't have time to go back to your computer, you'll be able to check on the web, on your phone, what the status of the build is, and even see if the build is in progress and how far along it is. So as already for one thing, management and checking what's happening with your version, that can actually all be done on the web. So you have you can even add users from your phone on the web. The second part about scene management specifically, well, we feel that multi-scenes kind of addresses part of that. So we highly recommend that you break down the data into multi-scenes so that you have smaller chunks that conflict instead of a huge scene. It still doesn't solve the problem. We are looking at ways of making sure that when you do scene changes, there's different possibilities that we're looking at. Either regular check-ins, like automated check-ins for the scenes, things like that, so that the conflicts are a lot less. But really the use of multi-scene is really something we encourage to kind of alleviate the problem. We know it's not answering, like it's not a perfect solution, it just helps with that. And that's actually not even specific to collab. The multi-scenes have been available since 5.2. They had some issues at launch, they're working, they've been improved. So actually they've been in 5.3, sorry. Now we've patched them and we have improved them. We really recommend using them for source control issues when you have multiple people using a scene, so it's not just even for collab. But to answer the final part of your question, yes, it's definitely something we want to be able to manage better and inform better what's happening in the whole scene to reduce the conflicts. And to maybe even have what you were kind of referring to, an admin tool that would actually allow or prevent changes from different users. Yeah.
Awesome, thank you so much, guys. And if you have any more questions, we have a booth in the services side, so come find us. Thank you.